Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, and welcome back. Unearthed Arcana, Subclasses Part 2 came out a couple days ago, and like with Subclasses Part 1, I'm going to go over it. Just going to do a read-through, check out all the classes and their features, and give you my opinions on them. Once again, we're going to be focusing on the more mechanical, tactical combat applications of the features and classes, not really going to be focused on the flavor of a class, the fantasy. Those things are, of course, important, but not what we're going to be focusing on today. And before we get started, I just want to say that this crop of subclasses with Part 2 is a marked improvement over Part 1. I really like all three of these subclass options. I think they're all very good, they were designed very well, and generally I'm very happy with them. So if you're expecting any rants or rage like last time, unfortunately, you can just click off the video now. But if you are interested in my opinions on these subclasses, then please stay while we go over to start the College of Creation with the Bard. The College of Creation features have a lot of text, they're pretty long, but don't let that fool you. These abilities are pretty simple and very effective. Very impactful abilities here. So let's start with Note of Potential at 3rd level. Whenever you give a creature Bardic Inspiration, you can create a Note of Potential. The note orbits within 5 feet of the creature. It's tiny, intangible, and invulnerable, and lasts until the Bardic Inspiration die is lost. A creature with a note can use it in the following ways. So, Bardic Inspiration, you can use it on an attack roll, ability check, or saving throw, and these three options here allow you to essentially amplify whichever d20 roll you choose to use it on. So, Note of Destruction, if you use it on an attack roll, the creature can expend the note to create a burst of sound. Each other creature within 5 feet of it must succeed on a Constitution saving throw against your spell save DC, that is the Bard's spell save DC, or take thunder damage equal to the number rolled on the Bardic Inspiration die. So that is, 1 to 8 thunder damage usually, probably averaging around 4 or 5, but you were going to use that Inspiration die to hit anyway, and now you just get free damage on top of it, assuming they fail their con saving throw. And it's thunder damage, which not a lot of things resist or have immunity to. So not amazing or flashy by any means, but extra damage is extra damage. And you were going to use that Inspiration die anyway, so you might as well get more out of it. Similarly, Note of Protection, if you use that Bardic Inspiration die on a saving throw, you can expend the note to gain temporary hit points equal to the number rolled on the Bardic Inspiration die, plus your Charisma modifier, that is the Bard's Charisma modifier, provided the creature doesn't already have temporary hit points. So you inspire the fighter gets hit by a fireball, he uses the Bardic Inspiration die to have a better dex save and hopefully save, and on top of that, while he only takes half damage thanks to your inspiration, a lot of that damage is eaten up by temp HP because of the Note of Protection. Again, a very useful ability. I would say a lot more impactful and powerful than the, say, Note of Destruction, but it's going to come up probably a bit less often. The Note of Destruction does have that AoE potential, which is very nice. It can turn, 4 or 5 damage into 20, 25 if you're surrounded by a lot of things. And Note of Protection, it could save one person some health, but again, they were going to use that Inspiration die to succeed on the throw anyway. They might as well get some temp HP to help with that damage anyway. And this works on any saving throw, not just a saving throw where you would take half damage. That's just the first example that came to my mind. If you have to make a Wisdom saving throw against like Hold Person or something, and you use the Bardic Inspiration die to help you succeed on that save, you also get temp HP with the Note of Protection. And finally we have Note of Ingenuity. When the creature rolls the Bardic Inspiration die to add it to an ability check, the creature can expend the note to roll the Bardic Inspiration die again and choose which roll to use. So if you inspire the rogue and he goes to make a stealth check and uses the inspiration to add it to the total, he can roll again and take the higher of the two. And something I want to point out, aside from just the limit of the number of inspirations you can hand out, there is no other limit to how many notes you can create. Every time you inspire someone as the Bard, you can create a note, and that note can be used on any of these three, regardless of who you put it on. So this ability gives not only you, the Bard, but also your party a lot more versatility with how they use their inspiration, and it just makes your Bardic Inspiration better. More options and better at what you're already doing. That's just great design. Next up, we have Animating Performance. This is a very lengthy ability. I'm going to try to summarize it as briefly as I can. As an action, you can target a large or smaller non-magical item you can see within 30 feet of you and animate it. This item then uses the Dancing Item stat block on the following page, and is under your control for 1 hour, or until it is reduced to 0 hit points. It shares your initiative, and takes its turn immediately after yours. It can move and use its reaction on its own, and you can use your bonus action to command it to do other things. So let's just quickly take a look at the stat block of the dancing item. Base AC of 16, that's decently high, especially for a summon like this. Hit points, we see the standard hit point calculation that we see for, say, the Wildfire Druids, Fire Spirit, or the updated Beastmaster Ranger's companions. A speed of 40 feet, that's decently fast. It is immune to poison, immune to charmed, exhaustion, poison, and frightened. It has dark vision, interestingly enough. It has immutable form, and also endless waltz, which immediately after the item makes a slam attack, it can take the dodge action as a bonus action. So a base AC of 16, in addition to enemies having disadvantage on it for most of the time, means this is quite the evasive animated item. Speaking of that slam, let's take a look at it. It uses your spell attack modifier to hit. Very good. With a reach of 5 feet, and the damage is 1d10 plus your charisma modifier, force damage, which almost nothing in the game is resistant or immune to force. So all in all, this is a very powerful dancing item. But you have to use your bonus action to command it, which kind of sucks. Or do you? When you use your Bardic Inspiration feature, you can command which action your animated item takes as part of the same bonus action. So you can keep on throwing out those inspirations with your bonus action, and at the same time command your dancing item, while still using your action to cast a spell as you normally would. That is very powerful and very good. And of course, once you animate an item with this feature, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest, or until you expend a spell slot of 3rd level or higher to use this feature. So that's interesting. The item already lasts for 1 whole hour, so it can probably get through a few combats considering how evasive it is. However, if you want to summon it again after, say, a short rest, you can do so if you just expend a 3rd level spell slot. Which, honestly, I think this dancing item is definitely worth a 3rd level spell slot. Especially as a bard, I'm not exactly sure what you can really do with a 3rd level spell slot. It's probably not that good. So being able to have another dancing item, that's pretty good. And of course, you can only have 1 item animated by this feature at a time. If you use this action and already have a dancing item, blah blah blah. You know all that stuff. You can read it yourself. Once again, you can still keep doing the same things that you always want to do as a bard, which is casting spells and inspiring people. And while you're doing that, you can still command your dancing item around with the same bonus action you use to inspire people. And that is really just great. Once again, more options, more versatility, and making you continue to do what you always have done, just better. And finally, at 14th level, we have the Performance of Creation. Once again, kind of a wall of text, and I'm just going to preface this with DMs beware. Putting this much power and this much creative ability in the hands of the bard is a frightening proposition. So fair warning, because this is going to be scary. As an action, you create 1 non-magical item of your choice in an unoccupied space within 10 feet of you. The item must appear on a surface or in a liquid that can support it. The gold value of the item cannot be more than 20 times your bard level and must be large or smaller. And then it gives examples of items you can create from, say, the armor, weapons, adventuring gear, tools, mounts, vehicles, all of that stuff in the equipment section of the player's handbook. But you're not limited to just those lists. You can create whatever you want. The created item disappears at the end of your next turn, unless you use your action to maintain it. Each time you use your action in this way, the item's duration is extended to the end of your next turn, up to a maximum of 1 minute. However, if you maintain the item for the full minute, it continues to exist for a number of hours, equal to your bard level. So, when you were listening to that or reading that, you might have thought, oh, the bard has to use their action to maintain it for up to a minute. They're limited in some way. But oh no. Out of combat, if the bard has a minute to spare, they can create something, and it will exist for minimum 14 hours. Once you create an item with this feature, you can't do so until you finish a long rest, or until you expend a spell slot of 5th level or higher to use this feature. So again, sacrificing a spell slot to gain back a feature, a class feature. You'll see this is sort of a trend with this edition of Unearthed Arcana, and I really like it. I really like how you do have that option of, turning a spell slot into a really powerful feature that you get back. You can only have 1 item created by this feature at a time, yada yada yada. The point is, the bard can create anything as long as it doesn't cost too much, isn't too big, and that's it. It has to be large or smaller, so 10 feet by 10 feet by 10 feet, or however, and it can't cost more than 20 times the bard's level in gold. Aside from those two limitations, the bard can create anything they want into existence, and it will stay there for as long as they need. And bards are typically the most creative players that you could possibly have at your table. So while you may think, oh, they can create a non-magical item that doesn't really have any combat application, who really cares? It's not that powerful. The bards don't care what you think, and they will fuck with you with any given opportunity. And this right here is the golden opportunity. I fear what kind of hijinks and crazy things a creation bard can create using performance of creation. I'm not sure, but I'm almost positive that there is some just absolutely game-breaking way the bard could use this. It is actually terrifying to put this amount of power in the bard's hands, and I think if you don't believe me, you will find out for yourself if you do get a creation bard in your game. I am very happy about this feature, the performance of creation, and also very scared of the performance of creation. So those were my thoughts on the Bard's College of Creation, but let me know what you think about this new subclass. Is it too strong? Is it too weak? Was I right about some things? Was I wrong? Is there some secret hidden combo or some awful creation that you thought of? Let me know. And stay tuned, because tomorrow we will be going over the Unity Domain Cleric. So you want to stick around for that. Until then, feel free to leave a like, maybe subscribe if you want, and I'll see you guys later.